Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Tom.
And I'm Tim.
And this is the Park Bench.
The light is fading and I've still got hay fever.
He always says the light is fading when the light is fading. You can tell the light is fading because you know we record many in one go.
But we have one more story to tell with Tim here on the bench. And it's the
so
tale...
I'm told.
Yeah, well, I didn't warn you about this, but this is the tale of the second greatest prank I've ever pulled in my life.
Oh, that one, yes. Yeah.
I'm going to preface this with saying that I've previously gone on record of saying I don't particularly like pranks, and I certainly don't like YouTube prank channels and all that. Because my requirements for a good prank is that it should not affect health or family or career. It should always have the ability to opt out. You should be able to say, okay, yeah, no, that's not for me. Even if you don't know you're doing that, you should be able to have that reaction. And this was borderline on the second, but it was too good an opportunity to pass up.
While we're at a point like that, I really need to cough. Is that okay?
I mean, yeah, we're going to keep the coughing.
Okay, fair enough.
That's Tim coughing.
That's me coughing.
Yeah.
Sorry, thing in my throat.
Why don't you tell it from your perspective, Tim? Just the first bit, because it went downhill. I overcommitted.
No, I got a call on my phone. It was from a block number,
Yep.
and I answered it because some people don't answer phone calls. I answer any phone call because I get lonely and I like people talking to me.
He's on Twitter, folks.
Yes, and the voice, I didn't really get a chance to say much because the first thing I heard was, Hi Tim, this is you calling from the future. Whatever you do, it's really important that you don't. And then it cut dead. Like I said, unknown number, I have no idea what I've heard, and it was my voice. I don't know, I didn't know what to think.
Because you used to do university radio like us, what your voice sounds like.
Yeah, it wasn't the voice in my head, my voice, it was my voice. And I got a bit weirded out, and then I went on Twitter and had something of a breakdown.
So, let's get back 15 minutes. I'm in a pub. And I can't remember which pub it was or where it was, but I was talking to someone, it's like, oh, Tim's here. That's a coincidence. That's not Tim. It is a perfect sound-alike for Tim. To the extent where there were like 2 or 3 times during 5 minutes I went, is that Tim? No, it's not. It was just this guy who had Tim's voice. Accent, pitch, intonation, speech patterns, everything.
And in the nicest possible way, you do have a very unique voice. So this was just calling out.
He wasn't doing an impression. It was just perfect.
I wasn't there.
So I did the only possible thing in those circumstances, recognise what an opportunity this was, walked up to this man and said, hi, you've got the same voice as my friend. If I call him up, can you read this to him? And he said yes. So I think, I can't remember his name now, I should have looked that up because I know what it is somewhere. I've said this to him many, many times. Thank you. Because Tim then... So what I'm doing is, because I know you'll tweet about it, is I'm checking. I'm wondering what Tim is going to say. And in the event you are having a serious freak out about this, I'm immediately going to call you, explain what has gone on, and get that guy back on the phone to clear things up.
And as I recall it, because I did have a breakdown, I was like, all capital letters, oh my God, the weirdest thing has just happened. I can't believe I'm about to type this, etc., etc., etc. And then I think, if you're right, you were about to call me, but then I posted, actually, if this is a joke, please don't tell me, because I want to think it's happening.
Now that is what we call in the business an explicit opt-in. And what you said was, because he actually said a date. He actually said a date about a month in the future that he was calling from.
They do.
And you said, please don't tell me because I want to believe that on that date I'm going to be making a call back to myself. Well, now I've got a challenge. In the meantime, this must have been about, you were going off with Tim somewhere. Because I asked you, Matt, to ask him how he was feeling about it. This was Eurovision. This was you going off to Eurovision. It must have been 3 years ago.
Yes, it could have been. Yeah, because it was around about May or something.
It was I know it was
No,
all
it
revealed when we were all on a train together. The three of us were on a train
No,
together.
no, it wasn't. It was revealed at a.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
No,
You two were on a train or a plane or something.
I know you needed some information, and I was able to provide you with that information.
I need to know that Tim was doing okay with this, was not massively freaking out. So I let Matt in on what had happened and asked him to check that Tim was okay by asking in conversation what that was about.
Because I'd seen it on Twitter. And I get a text from Tom and like, oh, of course.
So yeah, that was the first time you felt right. Okay.
Because let's be honest, if anyone in this friends group is going to pull a stunt like that, it's probably going to be me.
Yeah. And that's why we love being friends with you.
So what was that like? Do you remember that conversation at all?
Not really, but I do remember just asking him, like, what happened then? Getting me to, because I didn't know the details.
Yeah.
And he described the whole lot. And you
probably ended up with something like, I don't really know. I guess I'll see what happens on May the whenever.
And you had a little giddy in your eyes.
So I have to try and make this real. In hindsight, what I should have done was called you with the wrong number, got a sample of your voice saying hello and recorded it, and played that back. What I actually did was I bought a burner mobile phone, loaded it with one number that I had set up that was in an area code somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and I had set that up so that when that specific phone called that specific number at a time that had been handwritten by someone else, so it didn't have my handwriting, in a package that I put through his letterbox by getting his address from Matt, only at that time would it play a series of weird tones and noises. And
Did you actually do? Wow, that's really impressive.
Because I know, and it only worked once. Because I know you called that back.
I did call that back.
And what happened then?
I said those exact words that had been said to me.
Yes.
And I thought,
completed the causal loop.
Yeah, and that was okay. And that was fine. I thought nothing more of it.
Yeah.
Until a few days later.
Yeah.
And
no, hang on. Can I just say the other thing? Did you call that number again?
No, I didn't. No,
yeah.
I only called it once.
Which is great because you were actually respecting the laws of time
Yeah,
travel.
exactly.
There.
I thought if I I know it's stupid, but I thought
respected the laws.
If I called myself again, well, I haven't called myself again, so I can't call myself again because I don't know, is this predetermination or?
If you had, it would have played a message asking about your payment protection insurance. Which for those outside the UK has been spam phone calls that everyone's been getting for years now. It would have asked you about that. And it only worked once, and it only worked in a 5-minute window, and it only worked from that one phone number. And yes, and you completed the loop, which was amazing.
It's funny because I didn't even know his address until 2 weeks before when we went through all the Eurovision entries.
Yeah, okay.
I hadn't been to your house yet. I didn't know where you lived. I had to find out your address on Street View. Because you walked me to it from the tube station.
And you couldn't quite remember it, but you knew the street. You've moved from there now, right?
I have moved from
You
there.
knew the street and you knew it had a bay window and a super soaker, a water pistol in the. It's on that street. It's got a water pistol and a bay window.
This was a big water pistol.
Yeah,
It was worth having on display.
Is that one? That's fine. Goes. Several weeks later, we got free tickets to a show by one of us.
It was, yes, it was West End Boys, wasn't it?
Yeah, someone gave us fly. Sorry, someone gave us free tickets to
Basically loads
surrounded by midges. All
Basically, loads of washed-up pop stars from a while, but it had Matt Willis in it, who at that point, so at that point, singing songs from West End numbers, basically,
which absolutely made sense as a show anywhere but the West End, where you can go and see the original shows. At one point, I asked you about it, and I owned up,
and I didn't know what to do. Should I figured I probably couldn't slap you because we were in public and there were a lot of people in close proximity, so I thought that wouldn't go down so well. So I think I just looked at you and with a sense of, I can't remember if it was hatred or loathing, whichever it was, one of those two.
But for a little while, you were time travelling.
For a little while I was time travelling, and I was happy with that. And do you know, I still tell that story to this day.
There is one other thing that someone brought up to me, and I forget who it was. It was someone I talked to at a conference a year or so ago when talking about this, and he said that's all sensible. It all makes sense. But if you read time travel fiction, you read all this, that the most sensible timeline is one where time travel is never invented. Because it keeps resetting itself, and it keeps resetting itself until time travel doesn't happen, and that's now a consistent universe. And if that were to happen...
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yes, okay. Yes.
Time travel, someone goes back, changes a thing, someone goes, and that keeps going until time travel is never invented, at which point you've got a universe that doesn't change again. And he said, well, he's a science fiction writer, and if that ever happened, surely there'd be all sorts of little things left over that would need a really unlikely explanation to happen. Like someone accidentally stumbling into someone who happens to be an exact voice match with the one person who happens to be able to technically pull that off. And that would be the kind of debris left over from a time travel accident.
So your view is that despite having been the person that pulled the prank off, time travel still happened?
I'm saying you can believe that.
Okay.
And to be fair, you deserved it.
It was fun. I don't know
Thank
what you
you.
mean by that,
Thank you,
but
Paul.
overall I enjoyed it. I think looking back in hindsight, I was happy
Good.
it happened.
Good. I'm glad you are, because that's the mark of it all. Yeah.
I'm referencing a prank from a few years previous that we've talked about before on this bench.
What was that?
Is this a prank? Oh yes, that one.
Oh.
That one. Yeah, because again, that
Yeah.
was pretty much my fault.
He got you back
Oh
now.
yeah.
I was the
Oh,
one.
man.
I went to
I
the
hadn't even
SU.
thought.
I said, "Can I take a nomination form to be president, please?"
Put Mad Cat and Tom
she
down.
said, "Yeah, absolutely. What's
You
your
know
name?"
what?
I said, "Tom Scott." What's your email?
In all these years, Tim, I've never really thought of that as being payback. I thought you owed me one. And you know what? I'm happy with that. Let's consider that loop closed as well.
Do I get to ask you about the biggest prank you've ever played?
No.
No. Okay.
But that's a good bit for after the credits.